Professor O'Hara has continued to champion Jimena and Greg as they progress through their classes. In meeting with each of them, he applies the PERMA model to help his students focus on their strengths. Remember, the PERMA model includes 5 elements of well-being: positive emotions, engagement, relationships, meaning, and achievement. When Professor O'Hara meets with Greg, he decides to ask him about his personal wellness, since that's something Greg has been worried about. Professor O'Hara asks Greg to rate his current self against the 5 elements of well-being and where he notices an imbalance, to think about corrective steps he could take. Greg thinks about each element and how satisfied he is with each one in his life. He is very satisfied with both the meaning and achievement in his life. He is somewhat satisfied with the engagement he feels, and he is unsatisfied with the positive emotions and relationships he has right now. Greg specifies that his academic work and professional goals both make him feel a sense of meaning and achievement. He mostly feels engaged with his life, but the stress of his workload is starting to affect his performance. Finally, he says that he's put his personal life and his feelings on the back burner, and both are suffering due to his workload. They spend the rest of their session discussing the importance of maintaining a work-life balance, and Professor O'Hara helps Greg to make a list of priorities in his academic and professional goals. Professor O'Hara meets with Jimena later that week. Jimena has voiced that she's worried about boosting her skills enough to be competitive in today's workplace. Professor O'Hara asks her to identify 3 of her strengths and describe how those strengths could be used to overcome obstacles in her life. Jimena lists some of her strengths, including her strong knowledge of HTML and CSS, as well as her attention to detail and her ability to learn how to use new software without help. By focusing on her strengths rather than her weaknesses, Jimena is able to realize that while she doesn't currently have all the skills needed for today's workforce, she has a great foundation and the willingness to learn.